Tonight's topic is Start Within. Explore your story from the inside out. So tonight's presenters, as I mentioned, I'll introduce them to you, and they're going to share a little bit about themselves before we get going. We have Xanthe Golenko, who originally joined 333 from Australia and got up at like 5 a.m. to be a part of some of our gatherings. And she's now living outside of Paris in Nantes. And Jode Brexa, a new amazing colleague of Xanthe's and a new 333 woman who I had the pleasure of meeting in her location in Santa Fe, where our Quest gathering will be in April. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Xanthe and Jode. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Diana, and hi, everyone. So wonderful to see so many faces, familiar faces, and new faces as well. I'm going to just share my screen. All right, so welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and so excited that we are focusing on story because, of course, story is really central to human connection. Of course, stories can be told in so many different forms: oral, storytelling, written form, poetry, longer forms of story, dance, creative art, music, theatre, all kinds of ways of sharing stories. Today, we're going to delve into digital storytelling, which some of you may be familiar with, and for some of you, it might be new. So super excited to be here and with my dear friend and colleague, Jode. Do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm so happy to be newly joined to 333 Collective. And I believe that story connects us to our past, to one another, and to what's possible. And as two dedicated practitioners, Xanthe and I practice the same story-based method. We offer different lenses and different outcomes, but we walk the same path. And in this session, we're going to invite you to walk a little bit on the beginning of the path, to reflect on the stories you carry, to give one of them a little space. We're going to invite you to write, to listen deeply, and to share. And we hope you'll see what's possible with digital storytelling and to consider what's next on your creative journey.
Great. Thanks. All right. So just a quick overview. We're going to, as Jode said, we're going to be doing a bit of an interactive session. So we'll get into that. We'll also talk a little bit about what digital storytelling is. And we've got some examples of some digital stories to share with you as well. Talk about why this work matters, what's so important about this and sharing stories. And then we've also got some information about some upcoming events and things that you can do to keep on this creative journey into story. So just a little bit about us. For me, my background is actually in aged care research, and I was looking mainly around how to improve social and emotional well-being for older adults. And so as part of my research, I actually introduced a big storytelling program into a large aged care provider across around 15 residential care homes and retirement villages. And basically, this program involved bringing university students in to work with older adults to create their life story, presented as either a poster or a book. And we also used group story work to talk about, to do reminiscence and sharing lived experiences around certain themes or topics. And then, so as part of this program, I was actually introduced to digital storytelling through a colleague. So I was introduced to Joe Lambert and Story Center based in the US. And so digital storytelling just seemed like a perfect addition to my storytelling program. So I did some online courses and learned more about it, about their methodology and everything, and their approach. And so then I started to do some digital storytelling work with some of the residents as well. And I was really blown away at the impact of creating these digital stories was not only on the people that were creating the stories, but also then being able to share the stories so readily with staff, with their families, with other residents, and more broadly. So it's a really incredibly powerful and empowering format. So I then attended a digital storytelling conference in Washington, D.C. in 2023, which is where I met Jode for the first time. And so we just connected immediately on so many different levels. And then we met again in Xanthe in Greece last year, attending a digital storytelling festival. And that was amazing as well. And so we've kind of just starting to move forward, working together now on different collaborations and ideas. So I'll hand it over to Jode.
Thanks, Xanthe. Zakynthos was a digital storytelling festival where more than 100 digital stories were screened. It was wonderful there to see the breadth of work in digital storytelling. For example, like in health and wellness, in education, in community, in immigration, in social justice. That was a place where Xanthe and my commitment to this practice gelled. So I came to digital storytelling in 2010 as an educator through a service learning project with the University of Colorado in Boulder and students in my then high school class. In a previous life, I was a high school teacher. Like Xanthe, I learned Story Centered's method, and I wanted to support young voices marginalized by race and class. And in the last 15 years, I've worked with voices that are often not heard, from high schools in Colorado, where my district was, and over the last 10 years to young women in South Africa, in Tajikistan, and last August, just about a year ago, in Gobi Altai in Mongolia, a project called Young Voices of Mongolia. And last year I launched a website to support this work. I've also worked with a local women's business incubator here in Santa Fe and supported women who want to tell their stories as artists and entrepreneurs through digital stories. But when I think back 15 years to my own creative work, my first digital story was about my father. It was called Loam, like earth, the soil, the place we come from. And as soon as I made that first digital story, I felt that digital story offered a creative way to tell the hundreds of stories I've written and never published. I love what emerges in the layering of text with image and music. Both Xanthe and I'll be sharing more about what digital storytelling is as a creative approach and our own personal stories a little later in the session as an invitation to see what might emerge from a memory in the tracks of a video editing program. So let's move on to the into the Zoom room where all of you are and get this show started.
Okay, so we're going to move into a little activity. We're going to do a bit of an introduction first, and then we'll go into a guided writing activity, and then we'll be sharing what we've written as well. So the writing activity, there's going to be a prompt. So I'm actually going to stop sharing the screen at the moment so we can see all of you. Stop share. All right, so what we're going to do to introduce, for everyone to introduce themselves, is we're going to do a bit of a name, and we're going to say what our name is and also do an action that goes with our name, okay? So it can be any action, it can be representative of you or just how you're feeling now, whatever you feel like doing. So I'm going to get started. So my name is, so I'm going to do the name and then you all say the name back and do the action back to me, okay? So it's a call and response activity. All right, so Xanthe.
Do we all unmute?
Oh, yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll do it again. Ready? So, Xanthe.
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 Very good. Okay, Jode.
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 Love it.
Gail.
Let's see. Gail.
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 Okay, Diana.
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 Gina Vild.
Gina.
Oh,
Gina.
Gina. Christina.
Christina.
Oh,
Christina.
Christina.
I love seeing this. It's so cool.
Marty McKay.
Marty.
Marty. Lynn Davis.
Lynn Davis.
Lynn Davis.
Davis.
Sky.
Sky. Peace out.
Guy.
Marty McNabb.
Marty.
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 Susan Maycock.
Oh. Susan.
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 Susan E.
Susan.
Susan. Melissa.
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 Is it Shari?
Yes. Shari.
Shari.
Barry.
And Barb.
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 Barb. And Lori.
Lori.
Lori. Have I missed anyone? Is there?
Yes, Bruce.
Where's Bruce gone? Is he still
Oh,
there?
Bruce. We lost Bruce.
We lost Bruce.
He sent me
Okay.
a text. He's in a coffee shop, so he's probably
Fair enough.
like doing something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for doing all of that, for introducing yourselves. What we're going to do now is think about back when we were 5 years old. Okay. And what we were like then. And we were all 5 once, of course. So now we're going to do that name game again and introduce ourselves and do a gesture as our 5-year-old self. Okay. So I'll go first again and then I'll go around the room. All right. So this is me. Xanthe. Okay. Jode. Yeah, I'm going to do it back. Jode, Xanthe. Okay.
Jojo.
Jojo.
Oh, we're supposed to repeat it again, too.
Yeah, so we'll do
Yeah.
the call response again. Okay. Gail.
Gail.
Gail. Diana. Diana. Gina. Build.
Gina.
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 Christina.
Christina.
Christina. Marty McKay.
Hi. Marty.
Hi,
Hi.
Marty.
Marty.
Lynn Davis. Lynn.
Lynn Davis.
Lynn
Davis.
Davis. Sky.
Guy.
Sky. Marty McNabb.
Marty.
Marty.
Susan Maycock.
Susan.
Susan.
Susan E.
Susan.
Susan.
Melissa Davey. Melissa.
Melissa.
Melissa. Shari.
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 She.
Barb. Barb Scala. Yeah.
Sorry. Barb.
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 And Lori.
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 Lori. Great. Oh, wow. We all
my
got to
God, that was so
experience each
cool.
other as a 5-year-old kid. That was
Yeah,
brilliant.
isn't it fun to let her out? My God.
Oh, great. I love seeing so much energy and movement in the Zoom screen. It's just great. Thank you for all for engaging in that call and response. So we're going to move into the another interactive part of storytelling for our guided reflection. And we're going to drop into memory through writing a letter from your 5-year-old self. So you're going to return to 5, and you've just had a moment remembering your young self and reconnecting with her. Now you're going to write into memory, told through the eyes of your 5-year-old self. So the next slide, Xanthe. So you're going to have 5 minutes, and you're going to write in the first person as if you're 5 years old. Some starting lines are here on the slide, or you can start from your own place in memory. So one caveat, the writing practice is not about getting it perfect. It's about letting your 5-year-old self come through. Maybe it's something she remembers. Maybe she's imagining something wild and made up, or maybe she's asking a question. So let her talk to you. There's no rules. Let your younger self speak. Silly, shy, bold, curious, like we just saw in the Zoom room. However she shows up. And it can be raw and messy and incomplete. That's okay. It's 5 minutes. So let's start the timer and begin. You can mute yourself. And if you leave the room to write behind the screen, just make sure you're in calling distance so we can welcome you back. So are you ready for 5 minutes? Okay, let's go to the page.
All right. See you in 5. Okay. Does everyone want to come back into the room? I might just stop sharing this screen so we can share our stories. So I think we've got enough people that everybody should be able to share what they've written. I think in 5 minutes, if you've written like a lot, maybe just a quick summary, but if you've just got like a couple of minutes or a minute or so, then happy for you to share the full story of what you've written. Does that sound okay, Jode?
Sure.
Yeah? All right. I'm going to just pick people around the screen so we can go through this quite quickly.
So, friends, that was amazing. What was really interesting is the range of voices that we heard in the screen, and how many in the sharing in the sharing part of the Zoom screen, and how many of you actually spoke, wrote from your youthful young voice. So I'm sorry we lost Shari and Bruce, because digital storytelling is not about how well you can write or your ability with language. It's about your voice, your authentic voice. Digital storytelling brings voice, image, emotion, and memory together. Many digital stories are very strong on the visual. It's a short form, it's 350 words recorded into a 3-minute piece. I think everyone in this last session wrote probably the beginning of a digital story. Digital story invites the layering of your voice, images and video, and music and sound. The approach came out of the early 90s, begun in Berkeley, California, with the Center of Digital Storytelling with Joe Lambert and Dana Atkinson. It brought digital storytelling in conjunction with personal computing so that people like us, people who are not professionals in video editing or photography, though some of you might be, could express themselves through this medium. Story Center's approach is globally recognized and research-based, and Xanthe and I have been trained in the method. So let's look at what makes a story a digital story. So a digital story is self-revelatory. It uncovers some truth about oneself in the narrative. It offers a moment of personal discovery. A digital story is narrated in the eye, as your prompts were. The story is intimate, emotionally authentic, and it makes your voice the central part in the impact of the piece. The focus is on a lived moment or experience. It enables the audience to step into the storyteller's shoes, like you invited us to step into your 5-year-old shoes in that lovely story sharing. Still images are more preferred because they allow a contemplative meaning and they elevate the emotional connection. And these stories are about emotion. The format is short, concise, a few minutes. 3 minutes is the general frame, though some stories are shorter and some can go longer. They're edited tightly and they're designed to keep a message powerful. And the process is guided by a clear purpose, a point of view, an emotional arc, and a structure, rather than technological effects. Digital storytelling is not a technology process, though we use video to layer our voice, images, and music. It's a story-driven approach. So in the next slide, the 7 steps of digital storytelling come from Story Center, where Xanthe and I have both learned the approach. And this approach is well known and it's in the research and you can learn more about it, but I'm just going to walk you through it. So we begin in a workshop with owning our insights. You have the opportunity to reflect deeply on your life. And in that process, in a story circle, you identify a moment, a memory, an experience that holds personal significance, maybe like some of the stories that you started with in this evening's prompt. The question might be, what do I really want to say about this event in my life? At the center of the piece is owning your emotions, the emotional truth of the story. You might begin to think, what's the emotion of this piece that I just started? A powerful digital story connects to the feeling behind the story. Emotion gives the story tone. Finding the moment means choosing a specific moment of change, realization, or the anchor. The stories often revolve around a pivotal moment. You might have had that moment in your prompted story this morning. And it's a pivotal moment rather than a full timeline, but you'll see that years can be collapsed into 3 minutes. Digital storytelling is a visual form. So thinking visually about how you would show this story is key. In a workshop, we imagine photos, drawings, like that little puppy that could be in this digital story, and footage that supports or symbolizes a narrative. We might ask, what images could I bring to bring my words to life? Or what mementos or what objects might bring my words to life, which speaks to Marty's work. And digital storytelling is also auditory, it's recorded. So hearing your story means using your own voice to tell the story literally and stylistically. We focus on rhythm, pacing, tone. It's your authentic voice that carries the emotional weight, which is why I love this first activity that Xanthe did with us, because we heard our voices, not just our words, we heard our voices. So the first 5 steps of this approach you can see here are focused on story, not the technical. It's much later in a workshop when we learn to assemble a story, where we combine audio, narration, visuals, and editing tools to weave everything into a compelling digital narrative. This is where these are layered together. And then finally, if you choose in a workshop, because what you create in one of our workshops is your story, you decide where and how to share it, as one does in a story prompt. You can share it online, in community, or privately. And in our workshops, we invite sharing the story at the end of a workshop with the other women who made a story. And in the telling of your story, reflect on the impact the story has on you and the others. So in the work that I've supported, and in my own work, in work I viewed, and even in what I heard today, I'm repeatedly stunned at how digital storytelling can take a story and add another layer, a fusion of voice, image, and emotion that transforms ordinary memories into something resonant, lasting. So your story doesn't have to be epic. It doesn't have to be epic to be powerful. What matters is its truth. So whether you're holding a photo or a moment or a memory that won't let go, in this form, you have the opportunity to explore its meaning and shape it into something to share. And so Xanthe and I are going to do that, because we've had an opportunity to shape our memories into something to share.
We are indeed. So thank you, Jode. So while I'm actually just going to exit out of this and go into a different screen. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything at this stage before we jump into screening or sharing these 2 stories?
I just have to thank you for demystifying what a digital story is and making it seem so accessible to any of us to create. So thank you, Jode and Xanthe.
Right, okay. I'm getting my screen sharing is paused, so I'm actually just going to stop sharing and start sharing again, just to make sure I've got it all good to go. Okay. Thanks, Diana. Yes, I think when we use the word digital storytelling or the phrase digital storytelling, I think it's not always, people interpret it in different ways and maybe don't necessarily fully understand it. So I think this is really valuable in explaining actually what digital storytelling is. Now, the couple of examples that we're going to show, so I'm going to show one that I made, and Jode is going to share one that she has made. We have very different styles, and you'll see, I mean, just as the richness and the variation in the stories that people shared just from that simple prompt, digital storytelling is the variety and the different styles of people is as varied, you know, as it can be, as people are creative and find their own way of expressing their own story. So I guess what we'd like to encourage, we're just going to have a bit of a discussion after each story. So while you're watching it, if there's just having a think about, is there anything in particular that resonates? Are there any particular questions, any particular thoughts that come up as you're watching these stories? The first one I'm going to screen is actually a tribute to my auntie. And I made it during a workshop, which is a story center workshop. And I won't say anything more about it. I'll just let you watch it and then we can have a chat about it afterwards.
I went there again to visit her. I opened the door and looked inside. I saw her lying there in the bed. Her body was so frail, withered, and weak. I went in and sat beside her and held her hand, and all these wonderful memories flooded my mind. She stood tall and had beautiful long red hair, kind eyes, and a happy smile. She was a dancer, an actor, and loved listening to music. She was my idol, my inspiration. She would tell me stories about all the productions she was in and all the different characters she used to play. She would tell me about her travels and all the amazing places she went to and the things that she saw. She was always there to support me and talk through different life challenges that I was experiencing at the time. Always elegant, always poised. I'll miss her.
So beautiful. So
Oh gosh, that was oh yeah, sharing that. Oh, okay. So sorry. I'll stop sharing. Anybody, any comments, any thoughts, anything you noticed? Yes, Susan.
I I was so, I don't know, there's a thing on my screen here. Okay. I was so surprised at first that we weren't seeing her and that you told the whole story without seeing her. But there she was at the end, and it was like, oh, I knew her.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it was just like, it was such a fascinating way to do it, to tell the whole story, through nature and, size and shape and presence and not presence. And then just that lovely photo of the two of you at the end. That was really very powerful.
Thanks. Yeah. Yes.
Marty,
I have to say that I was so incredibly moved by that. And for the last couple years that since you've known Diana, and Diana's like, you've got to do this digital storytelling. I'm like, yeah, I don't really get it. I just thought that that was the most beautiful tribute that you could give to a person. And I just want to do one. I get it. Like I'm seeing it is, it was just made a beautiful impact on me. I loved it. I loved it. Thank you.
Thanks,
so
Marty.
Marty is a photographer and tells a lot of stories with her images. So imagine Marty adding your words and putting it together. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other?
Oh, that's her granddaughter.
Is that a little?
Hi, Annapurna.
Annapurna.
Oh, we're up there.
Annapurna.
We need her.
Oh, goodness.
That was
Um,
beautiful. So touching. And what you showed is that you don't have to go to the ends of the earth to find the perfect this, but the entanglement of the vines and the imagery with the natural tree. That was just beautifully supportive of your story.
Yeah, and the
Thanks.
seat, the cast iron, seat for two. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
I think the
thanks.
imagery allowed for you to get more into the story. It's like you weren't focusing on pictures of her, the two of you together. It was more being able to imagine it from the way you use the imagery. I love the way the twisted vines and the tall tree and the water. It was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you could really feel the love and the emotion in a deeper level than if you just told us your story, or it was a video, or if it was pictures of you and your aunt the whole time, or your aunt. So it was very, very expressive and powerful.
Thank you. Yeah. I think that brings us back to, as Jode was saying, that it's a very visual experience and digital storytelling, and the visual and the narrative really kind of work together to support one another. And when I did this digital story, I was at a workshop in the US. I had no photographs or anything like that. We were just told to bring some kind of script. And actually at that time, it was shortly after my auntie had passed away, and the only thing that I had written that wasn't an academic piece of work was actually the eulogy for my auntie. And so I had that. And then they said, oh, okay, find some images. And of course I was like, oh, I looked on my computer and I was thinking, oh, I've got to try and find pictures of my auntie. And I didn't have that many, but I had all these photos of her property. So that was actually the property where she lived. And yeah, and I found all these photos and I was like, well, I can just use those as basically metaphors or as symbols to express of what I was feeling and what was happening. So it kind of came together. That's basically how it came together. So I guess it is going back to, again, what Jode was saying, the use of photos. You don't have to necessarily go out specifically and film things or interview things or whatever. We often have already all the material we already need. It's just how we can put it together to tell a story. All right, Jode, I might jump onto yours now.
Great. Thank you for holding space for Xanthe's story. And I love that she dove into her archives for the images to support the story, and that we learn in the workshops to not always use explicit imagery. So before we listen to my story, Yo-Yo, I turned 70 this April. And I decided that this decade is mine to dive into my archives, to work through memory with diaries, letters, journals, albums, and written memories that I've collected for 6 decades. And I want to capture those in themes through digital storytelling. So this 3-minute digital story called Yo-Yo comes from an aha moment of remembering a buried memory. For years, I stopped writing. And through making this digital story and recalling my uninhibited 5-year-old self, I discovered a core truth that helped motivate me to return to my authentic narrative form. So welcome to Yo-Yo.
The summer I'm 5, my mother takes me to stay with my grandparents in their old gray clapboard house on York Street in Akron. I run up the sloping asphalt driveway, past the soap-over windows of my grandfather's locksmith shop, up the fresh white painted steps to the front porch, and through the screen door. Gram, Gram. My grandmother's in the pantry, surrounded by mason jars hot from their bath, cucumber pickles, sauerkraut, rhubarb. Moyoyo, she says, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She fills my hen glass with cool well water. I run through the sprinkler behind the house, my skirts on the grass, and jump barefoot through vacillating silver threads, squealing, blissfully unaware of myself. In the perfectly hoed rows beyond, my grandfather stands up from weeding and shades his eyes. Stedische. It was his sharp Polish way of saying you should be ashamed. In the bathroom, I pull off my wet underpants, sit down onto sticky and damp. In the vanity mirror, 2 perfect vanilla wings on my butt are printed from the seat my grandfather had just painted. With a smelly turpentine rag, he scrubs off the paint. I keep that shame folded inside my scrapbook for decades. In my 30s, returning from 2 years in the Peace Corps, I enrolled in an MFA program. I had amazing stories from Dakar, but in the first workshop critique, the director held up my piece and announced, "No plot, no narrative thread, a character blindly unaware of herself." I heard my grandfather scold, "Stedische." I didn't finish the program. I left for Tokyo, invited by a 5-star Japanese company to teach. For years, I believed I'd failed. But the truth is, I couldn't fit into a workshopped pattern. Still, shame is tucked into unfinished pieces. This summer, I'm pulling them out to hem remembering into pockets. Spirals of scraps never thrown away. They were called yo-yos. I'm stitching loose, like Gran taught me, gathering the pieces into a circle, pulling the thread through, and tying it off with a knot.
Wow. Woo. It's beautiful.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing.
So, any thoughts on maybe the metaphor in the piece, or some of the images, or maybe some of the choices I might have made as a digital storyteller to convey the theme of this piece, this emotional, deeply emotional moment to me?
I love the background of the hand stitching of the, I always called them yo-yos. So, well, I guess yo-yo, I'm looking at it, Jojo. It was such a calming thread throughout the story. And I can see bring things together. That's what yo-yos do, is they bring the fabric together.
Thank you.
I was gonna reflect on the amazing pace. I mean, the stories themselves are painful and beautiful all at the same time, you know, the sort of remembrance, wisdom that you bring to it. But I loved how your voice, the music, and the way you work the imagery, slightly slower than real time. It just really thread it all together, as you say, it's beautiful.
I
Thank
also,
you.
if I can say, I loved how it was like a typical child's fuzzy memory of going to visit grandma and grandpa's house, or who, whatever their names were for you at the time. And And it was always a big deal to go visit the elder folks. And then the way you told the story was just so jarring when we're all wrapped up in our own remembrances and sentimental journeys, and then and then your story came in, and then do our hearts sleep and go, well, geez, then I had a similar, just a jarring moment from a beautiful fuzzy memory.
I loved the
Thanks.
material and how you kept weaving the story with the thread and the needle. That it kept, in the very beginning, I thought, oh, this is interesting, a beautiful piece of material. And then you kept bringing that in and threading the story together. I thought that was really clever. I don't know whether you meant to do it that way or not, but the needle and thread took you from the beginning to the end until you were finished with the piece that you're working on. It's a gorgeous story.
Wow.
Oh,
Thank you.
I just want to add one more thing. Just that you connected the past event to an event and how the past event affected you in your 20s. And then, that was kind of another layer to the whole thing, how we carry this.
Yep.
We carry it forward. And how it influences our whole lives.
Yeah.
And then
All the threads come with you, all that threading
Right.
comes along with you. And at the end, you've had a lot of threads and a lot of experiences. And it can, it's so relatable. It was very nice. I loved it.
And then
Thank you.
another way of like
Go ahead.
saying that is like, a nice illustration of trauma and how it can connect, how it can be connected, or how later events can pull up earlier traumas, and have this stitching together as a really nice visual that's not available necessarily if you write. I mean, you can use a metaphor, but to be able to show it that way, like the two were just stitched together in that way, is really, really nice.
Thank you. Thank you for each of you for acknowledging the piece. I just finished it about 2 weeks ago, 2025 in Santa Fe. And I'm the first time I've shared it. So it feels really, I'm really grateful that the group is able to hold that story. And I was saying earlier that you can collapse time in a digital story. So that's 60 years in that 65 years in that digital story, from 5 to 30 to 70. And that's kind of the extraordinary thing about digital storytelling. And also this sense that you can use some of the technical effects, which are we call them advanced features, but they're not. That's animation, opacity, and zooming in and zooming out to create that layered effect. We teach it in the workshop in the during the assembling your digital story process. So your story can be very clean and straightforward, or it can be multi-layered if you like those effects. And I'm a person who does a lot of layering in my stories and in my work. And so the form is particularly powerful for me. So thank you for listening.
I have a question for you, Jode, if
Sure.
you will share with us, because one of the things I think is a gift of this age is the curiosity to dig back into those stories, whether you started at 50, 70, whatever. It's such a gift. But it seems to me, I guess I want to know, you just finished this. This has been in you for years, but one of the things we hope we can do is unravel and ditch those old stories that brought us pain. Did you heal as you created this in some way, this pain from the past? or were you already healed?
I could speak briefly to that, and then we'll move to the close to respect everyone's time. Thank you for that really insightful question, Diana. So what happens in digital storytelling is you tell a story and the story is pretty raw. And then through the process of digital storytelling, every time you add an image, every time you add a layer, you're listening to your story over and over and over again. And I don't know that I'd use the word healing because I'm not in therapy, or I don't think of it that way, but I do think of it as a catharsis. And
Yes.
after going through this story of shame so many times, and then putting it out there and realizing that it's still there, trying to wrap up this story of shame, that statement of, I used to think, I believed all my life that I had failed. This story is an affirmation and a validation that it wasn't about the workshop. It was that I do things differently in liminal spaces in very different kinds of ways. My own process is different. And so I had a chance to affirm that in the piece. And thank you for affirming it back to me. So,
Sharon.
thank you. So I just want to say, oh, Xanthe, go ahead.
No,
I
I
can
was
hand
just
over to
saying, because Susan was just going to go. No, it's okay.
I just want to say that remembering, writing, and making a digital story is a way to reclaim your voice, your identity, to tell the truth of your own experience and preserve it for memory. And I just feel like our lives are rich with meaning, but if we don't give them voice, they can get lost. So Xanthe and I want to invite you to go deeper. You've reflected, you've touched a moment that matters, and we want to invite you to begin shaping your story in community.
Do you want me to go on to the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the
If this will
We're seeing currently, we're
where
seeing
this
the
leads.
YouTube
Yeah.
tab and the Vimeo tab.
Oh, you're not seeing.
Yeah, you may need to stop the share and go back into your slides.
Okay.
And I have to note, I'm sorry we lost a few people. I think some people didn't notice the 90-minute time, but this is being recorded and I will post it several places for those people that missed the ending.
Okay, is that better? Yep. Okay, so yes, just mindful that we are running out of time, but just wanted to flag a few events and workshops that we have coming up. And we would love you to continue this journey with us and keep digging into your stories. We have a workshop coming up, which is on mother-daughter relationships, which is going to be in October, starting in October, beginning of October. Some of you have already been involved in the story in that workshop, and we'll certainly have more information and share some of those experiences if anyone's interested in being involved in that workshop. It's a 5-week online via Zoom, 2 hours a week. So there'll be more information about that coming up, and some of the stories that were created, we'll share some of those as well as examples so you can get a bit more of a feel for the kind of work that happens in that space. We also, of course, have Quest in April 2026 in Santa Fe, which is all about aha. Well, the event is about aha stories, but as part of that that event, we'll be holding a 2-day digital storytelling workshop where you will have the opportunity to dig into other stories as well. And we've got more information coming out about that, so I won't go into it too much, but watch this space, and we'll be doing some preparation events to get you ready for that workshop as well, if it's something that you're interested in signing up for. And we also will have some other workshops, some in-person workshops after the Quest event in the summer in 2026. But leading up to that, I'll just hand over to Jode. We do have something very exciting to offer. So Jode. Oh, you're on mute.
We're going to host a free story circle session coming next month in August or in early September. It's a gentle, welcoming way to begin exploring your story together. And you don't need to be a tech expert. We'll guide you to take the story that you explored today and develop a 3-minute narrative text, the foundation of a digital story. We want to listen deeply to connect to each other on the path and find the heart of your story. And we hope you'll join us. It'll be hosted by 333 to keep your story in a welcoming space, and feel free to reach out if you have questions or want to connect. Here's our information, email, LinkedIn, and our websites. So we'd love to hear from you. So Xanthe, do you want to wrap us up?
Yes, so I guess just to finish up, are there any questions or any comments or anything before we finish up? Any questions about what we talked about or anything that's upcoming?
I just have a question as far as all that contact information. Is that going to be sent out separately?
Well, I will say Xanthe and Jode are both members of 333. So you can on the upper search bar on 333, you can put their names in and it'll link you right to their profiles. And in their profiles, you can either chat directly within the 333 platform, but if you want to go to their website, their links will be there as well.
Okay.
Oh, I think I need to create a profile, Diana.
Whoa. Let me know if you need assistance.
I'm that new.
It's fairly easy. You can literally go in and click, edit my profile and add all of your links and add any descriptions and things like that.
I'll do that.
I'm not enforcing that you must communicate via this platform, but it's available to you. And it's also, if you're curious, whenever you're on these Zooms and Jeannie, Christina, I've never seen them before. Look them up and send them a direct message and schedule a call. Christina's a podcast host. Jeannie is an amazing EFT tapping coach, but also runs the tap room within. So she's going to be doing some stuff. Melissa Davey is our resident filmmaker, and she has generously hosted our movie club, which meets next week. And
come.
yes, Silver Linings Playbook. Oh my God, I watched it again last night. It slayed me. So anyway, so we're all here together, and everyone here that remains, and most of the people that were here today, I'm just grateful to say, are 333 members. We are gifted to have the kind of women who are not only, I like to call them, fiercely curious about how they want to live their lives, but also really, whether it's digging back in and flashing back to 5, as I like to call it, to really unearth who we truly are and what dreams may have been buried for a while. I'm looking at Melissa. She told a story recently about 8-year-old Melissa walking into a bookstore asking for a job so she can make enough money to go to the movies. And what did she do at 65? Decided to make movies. So there are clues throughout our lives. And Jode and Xanthe, thank you so much for this experience today. I loved looking around the room. There are lots of great comments. Everybody enjoyed themselves immensely, and I just am so grateful.
Thank you.
Well,
It was
thank you
great.
so
We loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Tremendous. Thank you so much.
So wonderful. Thank you.
Melissa, Jeannie, and I actually did the first mother-daughter relationships,
We did.
digital storytelling, and I am still blown away.
Yes.
And, I ask you the question, Jode, I think we all have and tend to have very complicated relationships with mothers.
Mhm.
It did bring me a lot of healing and forgiveness and actually gratitude for the
Mhm.
things that she did the best she could. So I had a cathartic, but also healing experience, and I'm
Yep.
so grateful, Xanthe. So I'm glad you're teaming it up to do it again. Actually, Jode and Xanthe co-led that experience that we did. It was just amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh. Well,
All
thank
right.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
staying with us today and joining in. And yeah, it's just been a pleasure to see you all. Thank you so much, Diana, for hosting us and all your support in all of the work that we're doing. We're incredibly lucky to have you and to be with you. So thank you so much.
Well, things are all lining up around the core, which is story. I mean, when I started Third Act Quest, I said, I've got to, in some way, help collect and share the stories of amazing, I call them third act women, the extraordinary, ordinary ones. It doesn't have to be Maria Shriver or Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It can be you and me, telling relatively, as you say, not epic stories, but real, authentic, emotional ones that can inspire us all. So you will be hearing a lot from me about what I'm calling aha moments or aha stories. And so stay tuned for that. But thank you for your time today, everyone, and have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.